Hello, everyone. Happy Women's History Month to all. I'm super excited today from the WLDA team, to be here to wish everyone a happy Women's History Month. I think somebody recently said to me, why do we celebrate women only for a month or for a day? And I was saying that if we all did something little, something small at home or to the women in our life and helped move a needle, I think we can make a huge difference. But as we are entering, today's the first day of March, and we are entering this month, I want to take the honor and the pride to introduce all the women who are joining me right now to wish all of you a very happy Women's History Month. I'm going to start just with a quick introduction. As you all know, I am Asha Saxena, founder and CEO of Women Leaders in Data and AI, with 30 years of background in building data management consulting firm, e-commerce, and healthcare organization. But really now my goal is to hopefully pay forward, continue this journey of impacting women leaders. And in this journey, I have amazing leaders, WLDA leaders, who are joining on this call to hopefully continue making an impact. And I think impact is such an important word in our career now, that we've spent some time really learning and leading technology teams, but really how we can continue building the world a better place, the digital world a better place. So I'll start with Megan. Megan, do you want to do a quick introduction?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Anzelk. I run 3Arc Advisory, advising companies and startups on their data and analytics journey. I've led data science and analytics teams in the human capital and financial services industries, and I have a PhD in particle physics. And I'm thrilled to be here today.
And happy Women's History Month to you, Megan. Let's go to Veena.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Asha. Happy Women's History Month to everyone. I'm Veena Nayak, and I currently am the Vice President of the Data Strategy and Solutions team at University of Phoenix. And like some of my other peers here, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, working through data and technology and trying to make an impact, a small change at a time. And just like you asked earlier, Asha, what does the Women's History Month dedication mean? To me, it's 1 month of history, but 11 months of future for the women. So that's how I look at it. The whole year is dedicated to women. And hopefully, again, we as an organization, especially WLDA, that's trying to make such an impact, at least in our lives, and hopefully in a broader set of organizations and people, together we can make the positive change that's needed from every single one of us.
Oh, well said, Veena. I think I cannot agree more about the 11 months of future. Beautifully said. Peggy, can I go to you next?
Thanks, Asha. Hi, everyone. My name is Peggy Tsai. I'm the Chief Data Officer of Big ID, and my background has been mainly in managing data teams and data governance, data management for financial services companies. And I love to say that my passion and my part-time job is really about enabling and empowering women in data and technology. That's really where I spent my second job, really being part of these groups, helping women, mentoring, coaching, inspiring. So really happy to be here today to kick off Women's History Month.
Thank you so much, Peggy. And Sue Tripathi.
Thank you, Asha, and a happy Women's History Month. I guess I'm struggling with that because to me every day is a celebration of just being alive and celebrating being a female and being a woman. I think so. My name is Sue Tripathi. I've been managing director and of data, AI, and technology. I've been in the space for 30 years. I've been global. I live in the US across several industries in the public sector, as well as in 19 different industries. I'm right now working as a partner at IBM in data analytics, transformation technology. And I think one of the key things for me is frankly, to get to a point where we don't have to have a month dedicated to women. Because when we reach that space and that time, I may not be alive, and that's fine, but it really would get to the issue of equity inclusion and diversity and celebrating all of that, as well as including women in the workplace. And even if they're not in the workplace, in the traditional, what we define as workplace, just to be there to celebrate them. So thank you, Asha, for putting this together.
Of course, I have to say that each one of you, I'm so honored to be here with each one of you, because I know personally how you dedicate your time building the next generation, dedicate your time being an amazing leader within your own organization and building your team. I know some of you have nominated your own team members to build the leaders. You've always said yes to paying forward. Anytime we have member exchange, you all have stepped up. But I also want to acknowledge our male allies. Even though this month is for women leaders, Women History Month, I have to mention that the male allies who care about bringing parity and equity, male allies who care about promoting women leaders, and male allies who invest in making sure that there are the equal number in panels when they speak, or the leadership positions are filled by women. I want to honor those men too, because I think this journey has to be together with male allies and women leaders. And in WLDA, we make sure that male allies are working and walking with us together to make sure we make the world a better place. And I have to say, when we talk about the Women History Month, I think there are so many amazing women who've really charted their own courses in challenging times. Traditionally, women take upon not only the role at home, keeping the families together, but also making sure when they show up at work, they are doing extra work to make sure that nobody can question the hard work they're putting in their day-to-day work environment, and make sure they contribute and pay forward. Just for the listeners who are listening to our live telecast, I want to make sure that we can share an inspirational story for them. I know personally that when I sit down with each one of you, you have amazing stories. And I just want the listeners to be able to take away something from our journeys. And I'll start with just sharing a pivotal moment when I felt my life had changed for better. And I think, and one giveaway I would share right after that is what I feel that has helped me in my career. And hopefully the people who are listening can take, a little nugget from my story and apply it. So I would say, clearly by my name and my looks, you can tell that I'm an Indian by ethnicity. Parents want Indian kids, being an engineer or a doctor. And I took a very traditional path of being an engineer. My undergrad and grad is in computer science, and became a programmer. I think my pivotal moment really happened when I had a mentor at work. I was working in a consulting firm, data management consulting firm, and Merrill Lynch was one of my accounts. And I grew that account from 2 people to 80 people. If you are in consulting, you'll know that as an engagement manager, your job is to run the P&L. And my boss came to me. I was early 20s, and my boss came to me and said that, the company's getting acquired and you're going to be laid off. But he said, I trust in you and I believe in you. And I know that you work really, really hard and the clients really appreciate the work you do. I do believe that you can actually run your own business. Take the account. He gave me my non-compete back and said, take the account and start your own business. And I think that was such a pivotal moment for me. I was 8 months pregnant. I always say I had twins. I had my second child and my company born at the same month. And I remember I gave birth at 3 or 4 and my project had just started. And I called my client at 11 a.m. checking in, did the team start, everything going well? And he said, will you stop calling me from the maternity ward, just hang up and rest. And, what I have to say is that if I look back, how did I have that energy to do all that? And I have to say that you have to be at the right time, at the right place. You have to have a mentor. They say you work for not a company, but for a job, for a boss. So it's so important. What I realize is to really work for somebody who is investing in you. I think having a good boss is really important. Early on in your career is really critical. So if you're climbing the ladder, make sure that you're working for someone who is investing in you. But he would have not invested in me if I didn't, give it all. I was 100% in my job. I was the top performer in my company. And the only reason I think I got that opportunity because I showed that I could do it. So I would say that the lesson learned for me from my story was that always show up and make sure you add value where you go. You know, I don't, being at work, giving your 80%, 50%, 70% is not good. I felt like I had to give my all, my 100% to, you know, prove myself. And I think we all do that anyway, but I think that helped me to get to the next level. Second thing was having a mentor when I didn't believe in myself, having somebody who believed in myself. And third, perseverance. I feel like throughout my career, there were hard times, and we all are going to have hard times. But how do you continue going through, getting up when the going gets tough, and continue running when you know that it's so hard to run? I mean, you have days, I'm sure people listening, there are days, more days, which are hard days than good days. When you have good days, those are your rest days. And I think the hard days are the one which gets you ready, running faster to make an impact. So I do believe that that's really my learning, is to continue having faith in myself, show up as confident as you can. There were rooms which I walked in full of men. I was the only woman, but I had to remember that I'm going to walk in and I'm going to add value. And if I add value, you know, I will be seen. And it was really important that I continue to do that, even if when I was not seen, to constantly keep adding value. So I'll leave everyone with that thought. And I'm going to pass it on to Sue, to you. Give us a moment when you felt you were transformed, and what is a message for the viewers from your story?
So actually, I'll have to go back in time. I think I probably was transformed when I was in high school. And the person who really helped me think through it was my principal. And she chose me to be the school captain. And I didn't want to be the school captain because it came with a lot of responsibility. And literally you had to stand up for elections, and you had to create a speech, and you had to do a lot of work. And so at that moment in time, it was more about having fun. I think she must have seen things in me that I didn't. And so I think that was my pivotal moment when I realized that not only did she believe in me, she kind of pushed me, and she didn't take no for an answer. And I still remember her, Mrs. John. And I think that helped me in thinking that you shouldn't whittle away what is innately in you. You may not recognize it when you're younger. You may not recognize it even when you're older. And it takes someone else, as you so well said it, Asha, for someone to pinpoint that to you. So having that coach, having that mentor, and with what you said, I would add a couple of things. In that pivot, in that transformation, create allies, and create allies that you can trust, who will have your back, and allies at all levels. And I think the second thing that I would say in that transformation story is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. As you said, you know, pick up and move, because not every day is going to be a great day. There are going to be ups and downs, and that's what life has to offer. But in that, know the change that you seek and be that change agent for yourself. That is the biggest life lesson, I think, that I would say in my transformation, is to not look at someone else, not to look at family, friends, or even frankly at work, but look at whoever your groups are that you're interacting with. Take what you believe is what works for you, because there's plenty that people are going to offer, plenty of talent around you, plenty of skills that you don't have, but make it your own. Don't just follow. Figure out why you want to do that, and then make that change from within. And you grow professionally, and you grow in more ways than one than I can describe here in the short time. So to me, that's my transformation story.
Thank you so much, Sue. I have to first of all say, I think even though we all have the similar experiences, there are little nuisances, right? Little twist to every story, which you'll hear as we go on sharing. I'm reading the comments from LinkedIn Live from the viewers. I have Christina D'Souza. Absolutely agree with Asha. I had the privilege to call Megan my mentor, the best boss ever who champions for me every day. So Megan, there you go. There's a call out. I'm sure that's a surprise for you that she's on listening to you right now. What do you have to say? Tell us your story. And if you want to say hi to Christina, she's listening to you right now.
Yeah. So thanks, Christina. And Christina knows we're really each other's champions, and I've learned tons from her over the years. We've gotten to know each other. I've benefited greatly from her counsel, her guidance, her knowledge, and so we both champion each other. A moment that came to mind to me in my career was early on. So I worked at Travelers at the start of my career in insurance in the data science department. And another woman and I had been invited to a team dinner, and we're sitting around with some other leaders. And we connected after the dinner and said, you know what, we were the only two women at the table. And so we should do something to try to change that. And that sparked an idea that turned into creating the first women's group, the first diversity business network at Travelers Insurance. And that group still exists today. I just saw somebody posting on LinkedIn a week ago or so. So I think it was something that at the time we didn't realize the impact it would have, both on ourselves and our own careers, as well as the careers of other women at the organization. And I'm so proud to know that it's an organization that still exists today, that is still thriving today, and continuing to have a positive impact on the organization and the people within it. So that was one that came to mind. It was something that came out of one sort of frustrating experience. And we didn't really know what we were doing at the time, didn't know how much work it would be. It was on top of our day jobs. But both of us got exposure to executive leaders at the organization, met lots of others who were working sort of on gender parity initiatives in other organizations, and networked with tons of other colleagues at the organization that neither of us would have gotten exposure to just through our day jobs. So it was a hugely impactful experience to me in my own career. And one that I'm super proud to say is still having a positive impact on others.
I love that, Megan, because I think a lot of times you get so stuck in doing your day-to-day, you forget about having anything extra because you feel, oh my God, I can't even keep up with my work. But it is so rewarding. And then another thing which I see that sometimes you say, I want to make it perfect, so I'm not going to start until I'm ready. And then you'll never be ready. So just jumping right in and doing it is so critical and so important. I couldn't agree more. We have another viewer who's writing to us here, Jagmeet Panu. Jagmeet says, Asha, how do you get going with the same energy at this level of your career? Very inspiring. I have to say that you fake it. There are days when you're having, right? You're like having it so hard and you're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. And then you just get up and just fake it and just do it till you make it, So I think it's the motion, it's the momentum. If you are, inertia to do with, keep going, and then you just get in the motion to keep doing it. I'm going to actually ask you, Peggy, I know you keep doing it too. Oh my God. Talk to us about, this question should be going to you. How do you keep doing it with the same level of energy? My God. And tell us a story and your learning, please.
So thanks, Asha. And I actually, when I was thinking about the energy, I really think of you, Asha. But, for me, it's all about passion. I think that's what Sue and you, Asha, was saying in your stories, was really being able to find in yourself. And this is very difficult. I won't say it's easy. I think it's the hardest part for any person, any woman, to really think about, what they're doing in their career. And that was my career for the last, 15, 18 years, working in financial services companies, doing the day-to-day data job, data governance, data management job, and really thinking about, okay, how do I make this more exciting? How do I challenge myself? How do I continually show up to be my best self? And it wasn't until I remember, because it showed up on my LinkedIn as a memory, February 2018, I was invited to my very first public speaking event. And that was with a woman, Dr. Beverly Wright, who I still keep in touch with, a fabulous analytics professor and speaker. and she and I did my very first webinar, public webinar. And for me, after I first did that webinar, it was the happiness, and like I was so energized by the fact that I was publicly sharing and talking about how to do best practices in data management, and sharing. And for me, as a introvert growing up and someone who was very shy and didn't like to talk, I was very surprised by the fact that I suddenly liked public speaking. I loved standing up on stage and giving keynote addresses, things like that. So I think really being able to find out what you love to do combined with the industry that you're in makes it magical. I mean, that's just the best word I would say. And that's what propelled me to do my current role as working for a startup company where I'm very external facing chief data officer, and I get to do everything I love in terms of writing, speaking, traveling, everything. So for me, my takeaway is, and this is what I say to all women that I coach and mentor, is really think outside the box of what you think you can do, rewrite the job description and make it fit for what you are best good at. Like, so in terms of finding your passion, being able to stitch together different aspects of a job that fits your personality, I think is what will really make you happy, what it's going to make you thrive in whatever career or role that you choose. So really being able to find that passion, try different experiences so that you learn and figure out what makes you happy, what makes you unhappy, things like that. And then once you figure out what that role is, I don't think it matters. You wake up happy, excited, and energized every day of your life.
I love that. I love the passion, Peggy. I think it shows what you do. And I love what you said, that if you enjoy what you do and you're passionate about it, it shows in everything you do and people get energized by that. I agree, couldn't agree more. Veena, tell us a little bit about your story, the time when you felt you were transformed, and what was your learning?
Yeah, as I'm listening to all your stories, there's just, a little bit of something that resonated with my stories. So I'll start by, sharing similar to you, Asha. I grew up in India, and unlike a lot of people's stories, I grew up in a family where I was never said, don't do this because you're a girl. But there was no restrictions. My entire family, surprisingly, again, it wasn't necessarily an element of their own backgrounds. It was just they were very open to me doing whatever. Having said that, I felt like I didn't necessarily know. I just knew I was good at academics. I really enjoyed doing things with my friends. I was always open to wanting to learn new things. So that was my kind of my backbone of how I developed myself. Years later, obviously coming to a new country here, and being exposed to all these new things that I don't know if I was necessarily aware of. It opened up so many opportunities for me, and I thought my really goal was work really hard, do your best, and that's it. And I think there was to me there wasn't a single moment. I think there were transformations that happened kind of little by little till it completely opened up, like myself understanding that, hey, I can do so much more, and then I can use that to help so many more. So to me, like these little steps that happen, I recall the first time it happened was I was a programmer just like you, again, working hard, thinking that if I do this well, I've made it. And there was this time in my life where I had to move to Australia for a year. It was an opportunity for me to transform from being that programmer to understanding why we program for the business. Like until then, I would do whatever somebody asked me to do. I did it really well, but I didn't really connect the dots. And so when I went there and I worked with the business, it just opened up one area of and I'm like, oh, okay, that's something that I really need to own. But it also let me see how other people showed up, right? And so I think that was a small transformation coming back. And I was a new mom at that time. So just handling these new experiences, a new mom, a new country there in Australia, and then bringing that back here had already started the evolution, is how I call myself. But the big pivotal moment was I was identified to be part of a group of growing leaders in the company. And I was assigned a mentor, just, it was part of the program. But for some reason, I really wanted this other leader to be my mentor. And I thought to myself, what if I just went and asked him? And I did what nobody else did in that group of 12 leaders. I went and asked this other person who already had a mentee. And I said, can you please be my mentor as well? I really want to learn from you. And I have nothing against my own mentor, but I really think, and he kind of laughed and he said, you're really brave, which is a great thing. It's a quality you should own. And I'd love to be your mentor. And he said, let me do this. Instead of being your mentor, let me be your sponsor. And I think that was another pivotal moment for me because he truly became my sponsor. He said, I see some qualities in you that you probably haven't necessarily honed into, but I'd love to bring that to other leaders. And I think that kind of really elevated my growth. And it also changed one big thing about me. I think, Peggy, you said something. I was a semi-introvert. Like, I enjoyed social outings, but I was very fearful of public speaking. And so one of the things that made me do that is I said, well, I got to face my fear. And so there was this very small learning and development class we used to hold there. And I went up and I said, can I teach one of the classes? This was just not part of my job, nothing I had to do. And I said, I just want to do this one class because I want to see what I do when I stand up in a class front, and it was a Lean Sigma class. And when I started doing it, I realized how much I enjoyed sharing my experiences and talking. It wasn't as bad as I'd imagined. And so that changed again. I feel like the other area of me, which is being able to really share my experience. Because one of the things that I realized is there were many like me, and again, I was amongst a small minority of not only women, but women of color, women that were shy and unsure of what they were truly doing. So I felt like this was something I should really take on. So those were kind of, I feel like, some of my moments of truth for myself, is to understand I can do this. But going back to, it was my nature of wanting to learn something new. So it's something that I try to do is, okay, let me learn something new about the world, about myself, and then how do I combine the two things to then maybe help others I know that there are many others that think this is impossible. Today at work, when I do meetings with my team, many of my very junior engineers, especially the female engineers, they say, we can't imagine what you do. I'm like, I was just like you. Believe me, I was just like you, where I would stand there and think, there's never going to be a moment where I'm speaking in front of a group and I'm not, I'm not at a loss of words. So those were, I think, the little moments. And so my takeaway is, go seek your fear. It's not really meant to be a fear, but go seek it out, embrace it, and then overcome it. That's one thing you have to just figure out for yourself. And then really, take the opportunity to tell your story, because you never know who gets influenced by it. Even if you can change one person, one other person, I think you've made a difference. So those will be my takeaways.
As I hear, you were so right, Veena. As I was hearing you talk, I could see myself in these little stories. And I think I did the same thing when everybody was telling the stories. I love what you said about being proactive. You were proactive, seeking out who you wanted to seek out, even though others were fearful, and you were probably fearful, but you were brave enough, at least you faked the brave enough to go out and actually reach out to this person. And I think, Megan, you had that similar story where you said, you jumped in and started this whole group, which you had no clue how you were going to do it, but you did it and actually was rewarding. And I'm sure Sue and Peggy and everybody else who's listening, there are moments when you're scared and you're not sure how to go and take the next step and you are fearful. but jump in and make it happen. And what is the worst thing? If you fail, if you didn't start, you would fail anyway, so at least you have a chance of succeeding if you take a chance. There's so many learnings, and I love talking to all of you all the time. And I think we can go off for hours. But because it's first of all, thank you all for taking time out of the working day to actually pass on a message. Really appreciate it. Before we close, I want to do a quick round where we say one person you want to dedicate to. And I think, Sue, you already mentioned it. I think, Veena, you mentioned it. We have already mentioned a few people. But let's go around and say, during this Women's History Month, who do you want to nominate or who do you want to call out and just dedicate this month or the day or the moment? And I'm sure there are tons and tons of people, but just your chance to call out somebody. Sue, I'll start with you and we'll go around again.
So it could be personal and professional, right?
It could be anybody.
My mother.
Oh, very nice. Thank you. Peggy.
So to kick off Women's History Month, I want to dedicate this to one of my first female leaders that I worked for. Her name is Monica Richter, and she was inspirational because she was a woman leader that demonstrated strength and virtue and excellence.
Thank you. And Veena.
I'm going to dedicate it to my mom as well. And I want to say this, her influence, I think for all of us, our mom's influences are in so many ways subtle, and hers was very, very subtle. But towards the end of her life, the amount of grit and perseverance and resilience and the attitude she showed is something I aspire to be. Like she was, she battled some health issues, but the spirit she had and the just the way she handled it with grace and beauty is something I can't imagine, and I hope I can do at some point in my life. So I want to dedicate it to her.
Very nice. And Megan.
Yeah, in honor of Women's History Month, I want to pick a historical figure. Laura Bassi was the first woman to be awarded a doctorate in physics almost 300 years ago.
Wow.
And was the first woman to become a physics professor. And I think we all benefit from the trails that others have blazed before us. So being a physics PhD myself, right, I have a warm spot in my heart for the people who came before me and helped make my career path possible.
Oh, wonderful. Beautiful. As I was thinking about who would I dedicate it to, I thought about my mom, I thought about my aunt, I thought about my first math teacher, actually, who was hugely influential in my early childhood. But I'll be lying if I didn't dedicate this to WLDA, Women Leaders in Data and AI, and all of you.
That's so sweet.
No, really, because I have to tell you, and this is really sincerely from my heart coming to all of you, because I wake up every day looking forward talking to you and getting inspired. Every circle I go to, every member I meet, every member I talk to and hear their stories about how you are creating a change at your workplace, but you say yes to every time I have asked to help out or help another member or help out to help anyone else. And each one of you know, Megan, I've called you so many times to ask you suddenly, can you get on the call? And I really need help, or Veena or Peggy or Sue. And you all have said yes. And I think it makes a difference. Women's History Month is about making history today. And you all are making history. And I promise you, every little thing, the positive thing you do today is making a history for the future. In data and AI, we are all talking about ChatGPT. We're talking about how AI is going to take over our world. If we are not conscious about diversity and we're not conscious about promoting each other, I have a lot of women who say, oh, women never supported each other. Look at WLDA women, how women in WLDA are promoting each other constantly. I mean, I see Peggy, you're posting, I'm going to this conference, let's meet up, or I'm doing this, let me pass on this opportunity to you. We all are passing opportunity to each other. We are here investing in each other. And, I love what WLDA stands for, community growth and impact. It is about building your community. Go out and find your community if you don't have one. Invest, all of you spoke about learning. You have to be a lifelong learner. I have to mention this. Jagmeet said, how do you have the same energy at this level of your career? Which means I've got some career history. So what I want to say is that we are creating history because we've got experience under our belt, a lot of experience. consider us old, but we have a lot of experience and we are building history. So I think there's a lot of power in even wanting to grow now and wanting to learn now. And I have to say, I learn from each one of you every single day. And last, that you care about creating an impact. We will be gone in hopefully 30, 50, years or so. But when we are gone and we are not in the workplaces, we'll have other people who will be, hopefully, we've created, path for those women. Peggy, when you go to teach at Carnegie Mellon, or Megan and Veena and Sue, you're teaching at work, what you're doing matters. What you do matters to the next generation after. And I think that's the hope. We leave this world a better place when we're not around. And I think that's a powerful message. And it's a powerful message for each one of you. So in Wilda Town Hall, which we are going to be announcing, we are with a huge demand, we are starting Wilda Nation. And I think Wilda leaders have been coming to me and saying, we don't want to leave the women who are not leaders yet behind. So we are creating a group called Wilda Nation, where we will be bringing in women who are probably not C-suite leaders yet. They're not at the senior VP level yet. Anybody who is aspiring leader will go into Wilda Nation, and we'll be making a big announcement on LinkedIn Live on Friday, March 3rd. We are going to continue making Women History Month a meaningful month, and hopefully each member from Women Leaders, the Wilda, will be paying forward. With that, I say goodbye to all of you. Everybody who's listening, thank you for dialing in. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.